Welcome everybody. My name is Sharon Prince. A lot of you know me already. I'm an intuitive reader. I'm a channel and I'm a medium. And so I also do other things like past life regression with therapy. And pretty neat to go back and remember your past lives and as you're reliving it rather than asking me to read for you and doing a past life reading. So it means a lot more. I also do life coaching. And I have, just to let you know, because I'm doing an advertisement now, so don't forget, on Saturday I'm having a spiritual leaders business mentorship class. It's 4 hours long. This time I kind of cut it down from last time. It's going to be in the library, and it's for those of you who want or are considering starting your own spiritual business, where you'd like to go into your spiritual business full time. So I'll be sort of like sharing tips and tricks of the trade. I've traveled around the United States and Europe, and I just, have earned knowledge the hard way, So I can share a lot of interesting stories and things like that with you, but mostly it's to focus on how you do it. If you wanted to be a practitioner, like holistic practitioner, maybe a reader or something like that, to kind of do what I'm doing. So I'm sharing my secrets with you.
Yeah.
Yay. Because we need more, it's not about competition. There are people, in the community, unfortunately, that see this as, like, oh, I don't want anyone to compete with me. I see it as we're all light workers, we're on the same team. And so it only makes sense for us to spread out, into the world because it's needed right now.
Yeah.
And there's a client for every reader or every practitioner. And so it's important for us to not feel threatened if someone else is doing something similar to what we're doing. The people who need to come to us will be guided to come to us. So if you have that like prosperity consciousness and the universe is limitless, then that's you're going to bring more to you. Whereas if you have a scarcity consciousness, you're going to be in a fear, and that's not going to work for you. So anyway, if you're interested, it's going to be Saturday here. And I have some information, so if you sign my mailing list, I'll make sure that I send out a reminder to the new people in the class. I also am a licensed minister, for what that's worth. I got ordained so that I could marry some clients of mine in Pennsylvania a few years ago, so I have that to add to my list.
And they're still married, right?
Yes, they're still married. They're still married, thank goodness. They're married, yes. But, being a universal life minister, I can also do other type of ceremonies too, non-denominational or hand fastings and things like that. So hit me up if you're getting married anytime soon. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to magnify this just a little bit, just because I don't want to have to wear my cheaters. Ah, there you go. There's some big letters there. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Ah, there we go. I can see that good. All right. No matter how many times I've taught a class, I always bring my notes with me. It sounds crazy, but I go off on tangents. Those of you who come to classes, and when I get up, it's like, where was I? Yeah, exactly.
Like with ya.
10 minutes ago, we were somewhere else. Okay, so let me ask you a few questions. You're here for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people feel that they may be, or they already know that they're empathic, or very emotionally sensitive? That's almost everybody. Okay, a few of you are here to support us sensitive people. That's great. Okay, so often it feels like a curse, doesn't it, rather than a blessing? But it really is a blessing because it's information that is given to you. It's a God-given gift, if you want to use that term, that helps you to know things. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's tough growing up being different. Often what happens is you're born into a family where you're the only one that's like you. You're the weirdo. You're the black sheep, Oh, she's overly sensitive. She's, emotional. She's hysterical. Her mind is, playing tricks on her, She has active imagination. She has little, and usually they'll say, like, she has little imaginary friends. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so to be clairsentient, which is like the psychic term for it, but especially super clairsentient is to be an empath. So you can actually feel the emotions of other people. You can even read their thoughts sometimes. You can even know what they're thinking as well as feeling. And so that, that's kind of like a nice little in certain situations, that would definitely be, to your advantage, to know what people are thinking and feeling. So, but, if you feel emotional and you feel misunderstood and you feel exhausted, how many people go to sleep and wake up the next morning and they feel like they haven't slept at all? Mm-hmm. Well, besides the fact that some of you are astral traveling to other planets, so that's another thing.
Yeah.
But yes. And do you know that a person who is very emotionally sensitive, who's empathic, often becomes a host for people who are energy vampires? How many people are around people that suck them dry? And you're like, what do I do? It's like, protect the solar plexus. Four shields up, So, yeah, it could be really hard.
You got one
So,
hand and one over the
being, a little clairsentient, a lot of people, most people are a little clairsentient, that we all have, we have basic psychic centers that we operate from.
Mm-hmm.
So we call it psychic centers, but they're really just energy centers, And so a person who's clairsentient is going to have certain characteristics. We're going to go through a list to kind of you're probably going to check, 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 check. Super empathic. Here you go. Here's your priority button. You graduated from the. So don't worry. You're not alone. You're going to feel a lot of relief after you finish, hopefully, this class. Okay. So being empathic and clairsentient, there's a slight difference. You can be clairsentient, but not super empathic. So you can still kind of be tune into people's emotions. But a person who's empathic is like extra clairsentient, okay? So just to know that is kind of a rare thing. Actually, you are kind of a weirdo, but in a good way. Thank you. You're so welcome. I graduated from the school of woo-woo, so I understand. Okay, so basically it's the ability, you're a vehicle. You can be a vehicle or a dumping ground for other people's emotions. Do people come and sit with you for a while and say, oh, I feel so much better, and you're like, afterwards you feel completely drained afterwards, like, okay. Thank you so much for taking my last drops of blood from a busy day. So I'll tell you something. Normal healing methods don't generally work on empaths. So that's why if you've gone to healers before, unless you're especially trained in working with empaths, they may not be able to fix you readily. Wow. That's what's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have a lot of ahas and ohs here. Yeah.
Because you got everyone else's stuff on you.
Mm-hmm. So it's like being highly sensitive or empathic or clairsentient. You often, one of the downsides is you can become depressed. Easily depressed. That's something you have to kind of be aware of, and I want to use the word fight, but I don't really mean fight, just be vigilant and knowing how, you could be subject to all of a sudden feeling very depressed. You could even be with somebody who's negative and all of a sudden feel suicidal, and you've never felt that before. And you're like, what's going on here, You picked up on someone's energy. So really, before you go to an event like this where you have a lot of people or anything, it's really good to check in that moment with yourself and see how you're feeling, so that you will know the difference if you pick up someone else's energy or not. That's the first thing, to be aware of how you're feeling. And we're going to also, empaths have a tendency we sometimes check out of our bodies when it gets real uncomfortable. So a good technique is to ground yourself, and you can also open up your channel too. You can open up both ways, and some of the meditations I do are grounding, but also connecting with the cosmic energy as well. So we connect with the cosmic mother, and then we connect with the earth mother Gaia, and that kind of opens up the channel. So we'll do a little meditation today, and I'll give you a prayer for protection in the morning.
Thank you.
So when you start in the morning your day, then you've already set the parameters. And these are calling in ascended masters, and the violet flame is one of transmutation and clearing. So that's really good. Hey, listen, if you're down, in a pinch, and you need to do some heavy-duty clearing, call in the violet flame, and that will transmute and get away anything negative from you.
Sounds
so,
mystic.
yeah, it's occupational hazard. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be cured from it. but you can maintain it. It sounds like a disease. You'll never be cured, but you can maintain it. But that's not really something
there's
you
hope for you.
really want to be cured of, because I'm going to show you the advantages of being empathic. And it's
Yay.
really cool. You can amaze your friends and entertain people cheaply at a party.
Especially if you can read their minds, and it's so much easier to talk to them.
Yeah. In the early days
Yeah.
when I was picking up on everyone's energy, I just go around the room and read each person
Yeah.
and tell something about each person, and I had various reactions. Either they would go, "Oh, that's cool," you know, "What am I thinking now?" And I was like, or they go,
Yeah.
"Stay away from me, you know, minion of darkness." I've had to sign of a cross making fun of me more than once, but as I got, you know, more wise and more savvy and more spiritual, deeper in my spiritual understanding, I realized I can't just go around and do drive-by readings for people. That's not cool. So you definitely need to ask people for permission before you start, emotionally analyzing them and stuff. Okay. Okay, so this could be this quality of being empathic can be particularly debilitating for people who are unaware of their ability. And you maybe grew up and think you were in a very logical family. Everybody was very left brain, and you were the woo-woo, the weirdo in the group. And you were the one crying at the drop of a hat, or, you wouldn't be able to get over something very easily. I remember when I was watching Pinocchio, the original Disney movie, that's giving away my age now. And I remember Pinocchio and then Geppetto and everything. Anyway, something happened to Pinocchio. I was so emotionally, I was caught up. I ran down the aisle of the movie theater. "Pinocchio! Pinocchio, I love you! Oh, don't be afraid." I was like giving him like reassurance, like he's gonna be okay, And it's like my parents like, "Come here, Sharon, come sit down." But my parents would say I'd get really absorbed in the movie. And I would get carried away. I'd be the character for a while. Anyone do that when you were kids?
Oh, yeah.
We're among friends. Hey, listen, you gave me a confirmation. I feel validated. Okay, so here we go. All right, so anyway, I'm going to ask you a few questions in a moment
open the door?
about. Come on in.
Come in.
Hi, Sandy.
cool.
Come on, sit down.
Do I have a seat for him?
I only know because your picture was on the email.
Oh, you got one there? Perfect.
Here you go. Your picture was on your profile when you sent me the message. Welcome. Okay, so we're talking about how we grow up in families that don't understand us. We're kind of the weirdo in the group. Okay, so clairsentience is a gift, even if it's unrecognized. And we find ourselves often in families and in relationships with people who unconsciously, they're not trying to, but they drain our energy. They're not trying, usually they don't. Now some people are energy vampires and they're definitely out to, get as much as they can. But most people, we're so helpful and empath, "Oh, I understand how you're feeling." I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Nom, nom, 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 nom," and they're like, "Oh, this is good stuff." When I first started doing readings out of the Renaissance Festival, I started out as a gypsy fortune teller, okay? "Greetings, I'm a gypsy rose," And so I was doing readings, I was holding people's hands. Now, I still hold people's hands at the beginning of a reading. If someone has especially negative energy, I usually let go of my left hand.
Don't receive
Yes.
it.
Yeah, that's a receiving hand. Sometimes I do. I'll hold it. It's really hard to channel for somebody. I like to hold their hands because I'm sending them energy from the being or the loved one that I'm channeling through. So if I'm just channeling their guide or whatever, I want them to feel the energy, not just the word, so it helps them to feel it. But what I was doing was holding people's hands for 7 weekends, and I was completely depleted of energy. We went to have a psychic reading. A lady in Dallas read for my mom and I, and she says, "Well, you're a very spiritual person, Barbara, but your daughter has no spiritual energy at all." I'm like, "What?" Because I got stuck. I took that one personally. "What? I'm a spiritual person. I've been doing readings for 7 weeks." It was because I was completely drained.
Oh my goodness.
That she felt no energy. I'm like, "Oh, I'm surprised I survived that."
Yes.
Clear. So that was important. So the next year, I had one of the readers there. It said, "Oh, you don't have to hold people's hands. Just use psychometry. Just ask for an object and hold that." And that was my means and method for doing readings for quite a few years. and all the way up to probably 97, from 92 to 97, about the first 5 years of my professional, as a professional reader, I was holding objects. You wouldn't believe what people give you, you know. Dirty socks, and, oh, this is my boyfriend's belt, I want to know if he's cheating on me, that kind of stuff. Like, no, I'm not going to psychically spy on you. Okay, so you're able to, okay, so there are other people who have gifts. Like you hear people who are clairvoyant and they see things. They're so clairvoyant that they can see beings in the room, non-corporeal beings or beings in other dimensions who are not like in a physical 3D body, or loved ones or whatever, ghosts, and they can see them just like we're seeing people in the room. That your gift is just like theirs, only it's through the psychic feeling center. That's how accomplished or how gifted you are. Okay? I'm trying to make you feel good about yourself. You're very qualified. But, you know, people who are channels and hear things, you know, clairaudiently, that is also a gift as well. So this is your forte. This is what you came here to do. So we're going to learn how to use that in a positive way, hopefully. Okay, so let me ask you some questions. Can you feel stressed? Do you feel stressed and overwhelmed and find that alone time actually makes you feel calmer?
Yeah.
You may not have yes for all of these, but you know, we'll go through the list. Do crowded, noisy places leave you feeling exhausted?
Yeah.
And drained? Can you feel tired even upon waking after many hours of sleep? Yes. Some of you said that already. Do you notice others feel better after having been with you or spoken to you?
Oh, yeah.
Do you find people wanting to talk to you on the plane, complete strangers, opening up their heart, and then, they're dumping out all their stuff, you know, and then they feel great. You're like, do people tell you sometimes that you look older or really tired, like depending on your mood, how your face can change? Yeah, I don't like to hear I look older, you know.
You're like,
Tired's okay, I can handle tired, but older, no, that's not good. Okay, so do you have, how you look and feel depends on whether you have a good day or a bad day? Your physical features change
oh,
somewhat?
yeah.
Do you suffer from physical sensitivities, unexplained aches and pains sometimes in the body? Sometimes does anyone get stomach aches or any kind of stomach disorders? Do you ever have eye problems or migraines or even sinus problems? Did you being on one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, at least, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, in additional, you may have a loss sometimes of personal identity. You may feel kind of lost sometimes. Like, you know, maybe when you were younger, you're growing up, you kind of were trying to decide who you were.
Yeah.
And even now, sometimes you're like, okay, am I doing the right thing? You know, so you have to stop and question yourself and check yourself every day. No. Do you sometimes have, we talked about depression, do you sometimes have an inability to focus clearly? And maybe even when you're emotionally overwhelmed, it's hard for you to feel stable. You may even have difficulty retaining information. So when you're in an argument, you know, empaths hate conflict. Because we can feel our energy and we can feel the other person's energy, you know. Okay, so when you were growing up, did you ever feel different from other people, even in your own family? And so, and not feeling like you belong here, maybe even on this planet. Some of you are starseed, obviously. Yeah, some of you come from a galaxy far, far away. This is not an easy planet to be on. It's a Genesis planet. It's a Genesis planet, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge mixture of all the galaxies.
It's like
Galactic
a petri dish.
highway,
Yeah,
just
it's
here.
It's got DNA
So
from
it's
all
awesome.
the other places, that's right. And some of us who are, you know, starseed understand that. You may or may not be open to that, that's fine. But just keep that, you know, in the back of your mind, you know, on the shelf. When you see a spaceship fly by, you'll think of me. I'll tell you. I'll tell you some of you later. My latest UFO story. Okay. All right. So, are you a creative person?
Yes.
Yes. Some of you are singers and dancers and artists and actors and writers.
Or all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of you are very, very
Yes.
talented. Yes. Do you find that being by water calms you down.
Yeah, baby.
Absolutely. Now, you know what my go-to place is?
Beach.
Mecum Fountain. Now, I hate it. Have they turned the lights on yet? I don't know why they're not turning them. I think it may be the electricity. I'm not sure what's going on. They're doing some work on it.